The mother suspected her daughter might be mute, so she bought a parrot to teach her to speak. But no matter how hard little Mary tried, she couldn't produce normal sound. The mother, unable to bear it, began saying the words first. This angered her husband, who scolded her for not waiting for their daughter. How could the girl learn to speak otherwise? Watching her parents argue again, Mary fearfully covered her ears. Yet the parrot patiently kept teaching. And to everyone's surprise, Mary managed to make a sound. Hearing the sound, her parents instantly stopped fighting. Her mother, overwhelmed with emotion, hugged her daughter tightly. The parrot helped Mary conquer her fear, and they became inseparable friends. Gradually, Mary noticed something special about him. Other parrots only mimicked words, but this parrot named Polly seemed to have a mind of his own. What are those? Although Polly was clever, he was also a bird afraid of heights. When chased by the family cat, he could only run on his feet. Luckily, Mary rescued him in time, saving him from becoming the cat's dinner. With Polly's company, Mary's speech grew more fluent, but her father remained stubbornly prejudiced, thinking it was absurd to let a parrot accompany his daughter. He wanted to send Polly away. Mary overheard everything from outside, determined not to be separated from Polly. She made a bold decision: she would teach him to fly. That way, even if he were taken away, he could fly back to her. So Mary climbed onto the windowsill to demonstrate how to spread wings. But after just 2 jumps, the wooden plank gave way and collapsed. Mary tumbled down the roof. Fortunately, her screams were loud enough. Her father caught her just before she hit the ground. Looking up at Polly on the roof, her father became even more determined. Early the next morning, he drove Polly away from home. Despite Mary's heartbroken pleas, her father left without looking back. Why don't you be... Polly kept thinking about Mary's words as he was taken away. He was left at a pawn shop in the city, locked in a cage. He grew to resent the owner, cursing him constantly, and the customers, too. But an elderly woman who had been widowed for many years was very interested in him. She lacked someone to talk to, and believed she could Polly to be polite. So she bought him and took him home, but on the way Polly talked so much, it gave the old woman a headache. Finally, she opened the cage to set him free. Yet Polly, who had never learned to fly, had no idea how to get back to Mary's house. He returned and asked for help. The kind-hearted woman agreed to take a taxi with him. When Polly saw the familiar house, he swayed excitedly, but the woman's expression darkened. The house was for sale. Mary's family no longer lived there. A neighbor told the family had moved to faraway Los Angeles. Polly's hope ignited. He wanted the woman to take him there. But the journey was over 4,000 kilometers, too much for an elderly woman to endure. Though deeply disappointed, Polly returned with her to her motorhome. Spent his days staring out the window, regretting not listening to Mary. If only he had learned to fly, he could have returned to her side. Seeing how much Polly missed his young friend, the woman thought of her own husband. They had once traveled the world in that motorhome, living a life of adventure, but after her husband passed away, she hadn't driven it since, so she made a bold decision. He would take Polly back to Mary. After years of stillness, the motorhome hit the road again. The two became travel companions, singing together and admiring the sea along the way. Sometimes they'd stop at beautiful spots, so she could sketch memorable moments for Polly. One day, crossing a desert, the woman grew weary from long hours of driving. Her vision blurred, and she didn't notice an oncoming truck until it was too late. Swerving sharply, the vehicle skidded into rough sand. Luckily, it came to a stop safely, and they were unharmed. But the woman's eyes were damaged. She was diagnosed with severe presbyopia that could soon lead to blindness. They could no longer continue their journey together. Feeling deeply sorry, she urged Polly to learn to fly. If he flew toward the sunset, he would reach Los Angeles. Though she tried to hide her sadness at parting, Polly sensed it. He realized she could no longer see. He gently placed a comb in her hand, setting aside his quest to find Mary for the moment. Polly chose to stay by the woman's side, becoming her eyes and sharing the world with her, until an ambulance took her away. Then his world fell silent. Looking at the empty bed, Polly remembered both the woman and Mary had always wanted him. To learn to fly, he knew he couldn't run from it anymore. To get back to Mary, he had to face his fear of heights. He flapped his wings again and again, until finally he soared into the sky. The feeling of looking down at the earth for the first time made him forget the exhaustion of flight. All he could think of was reaching Mary. After many days and nights, an unfamiliar city slowed him down. Polly spotted other parrots and learned from their owner that he had reached East Los Angeles. LA, oh my gosh. I made it. I don't believe it. The owner couldn't believe Polly could actually hold a conversation. He said his parrots only repeated words. Polly was the first he'd met who could truly communicate. Hearing Polly's story, the owner kindly checked his contacts for Mary's address, but found nothing. Deeply disappointed, Polly decided to rest at the owner's bar. and ask around for news of Mary, he joined in the singing and dancing quickly, drawing crowds of tourists. He even helped the owner collect money. But a young man in the crowd saw an opportunity for mischief. Noticing many Mexican visitors, he reported them to the police for illegal entry. When police arrived, chaos broke out and the young man secretly snatched Polly away, pretending to be a savior. He claimed he'd rescued Polly from the police. Naively, Polly believed him. The man offered to help find Mary, but said hiring a private detective would be expensive. First, they needed to get some money, so the next day he had Polly perch on a tree branch to secretly watch people enter their ATM pins. Then the man would steal their bank cards. Working together, they soon made a small fortune with the money. Polly suggested they look for Mary the next day, but the man's girlfriend objected. If Polly wanted to leave, he had to get her a big diamond ring first. The man thought her demand was outrageous, but Polly agreed without hesitation, saying he'd just find a bigger one. That night, they sneaked into a wealthy neighborhood. Polly flew through a window, opened the homeowner's jewelry box, and from a pile of gems picked out a solid gold necklace. But as he tried to leave, a child in the house spotted him. Then the boy saw the man waiting outside. The man fell from the window in panic, leaving Polly trapped, unable to help. The man fled with his girlfriend. The next day, the homeowner sent Polly to an animal shelter. There, his astonishing linguistic talent delighted a researcher, who grinned from ear to ear. Polly explained he was searching for Mary, and the researcher promised to help, on the condition that Polly cooperate with academic studies, thinking he'd met a kind person. But that night, he overheard the researcher on the phone. His assistant had found Mary's address, but the researcher ordered them to keep it secret. He wanted to keep Polly for himself. Worse still, the researcher held an academic conference, falsely claiming he had trained Polly's language abilities to boost his own reputation. Knowing the truth, Polly wasn't about to let him get away with it. During the presentation, Polly began shouting insults, turning the researcher into a laughingstock. Exposing the lie also angered the researcher deeply. In a fit of rage, he clipped Polly's wings. A sharp cry of pain echoed. Once again, Polly lost the ability to fly. He lost trust in humans and refused to speak anymore. With no further research value, the researcher locked him in the basement indefinitely. Polly thought he'd never see Mary again, until a cleaner changed everything. One day, Michel was cleaning alone when he heard soft singing. Following the sound to the basement, he found Polly imprisoned. Michel was baffled. The parrot seemed completely mute. To test his hunch, Michel bought a mango to tempt Polly into revealing himself. Faced with his favorite treat, how could Polly resist after just a little teasing from Michel? He finally spoke all right.
Mango, mango.
Mea enegio mango. Are you happy now? Michel couldn't believe his ears. Polly not only talked, he could even spell words. Puzzled, Michel asked why he'd stayed silent before. Seeing Michel meant no harm, Polly shared his whole story. Moved by Polly's plight, Michel decided to help. He grabbed a toolbox, taking the risk of being fired, worked to free Polly from his cage. Despite Polly thought it was risky, Michel broke the lock, giving Polly a taste of freedom again. Then they went to the researcher's office to search for Mary's address. Just as they found the note, the researcher appeared at the door. Michel tried to bluff his way out, but seeing Polly on the desk, the researcher understood everything and ordered his assistants to seize Polly. Watching Polly being mistreated, Michel, usually timid, found courage. He stepped forward to shield Polly.
I'm taking him where he belongs.
Belongs to the Institute, no. He belongs to a little girl who needs him and you need him. Defying the researcher's authority and firmly leading Polly away, but outside they were cornered. With no other choice, Michel ducked into a lab. Locking the door behind them, the researcher ordered tools to break in. When the door finally opened, a mouse scurried out. They had freed all the research animals and escaped through the window. Following the address on the note, Michel took Polly to Mary's home. A little girl was playing in the yard, about to see his long-lost friend. Polly held his breath in nervous excitement, but when they approached, they saw a completely unfamiliar face. Polly's hope froze. Michel comforted him. They must have the wrong house. Just then, a lovely young woman stepped out, calling Polly's name repeatedly, but Polly backed away in fright. In his memory, Mary was a 6-year-old girl. This young woman was a stranger, convinced he'd been tricked again. Polly urged Michel to leave. But then from behind them came a song unmistakably familiar. Mary was singing the song from their childhood, a memory only they shared. Overwhelmed, Polly flapped his wings, forgetting the pain of his clipped feathers. The next moment, he soared into the air once more and landed gently in Mary's hands. Got big. 2 decades have passed, turning the little girl who once struggled with a stutter into a gentlewoman, and the once bewildered parrot into a determined traveler. Some bonds are never diluted by time. Every flutter of wings is a step toward growth. Each flight is a journey toward reunion. The answer to life never waits in place, but in the moment you muster courage and spread your wings,